we made the right choice to just with clean milk and something like a erythrin or oleo gel. Beautiful, perfect place to start. And then we may bring in lotion N, because being a nourishing spray, this sounds probably rude to the Germans, but they, on the labels, don't always just pick them up and read it. It's not like, you know, like they'll go, I used to pick it up and I'd be like, oh yeah, this one's going to be good for hydration. Like it would specifically say who it was for. Whereas being a customised or bespoke range, they put a couple of keywords, but then if you look at the benefits in your manual or any other sort of cheat sheets we give you, there's plenty more there. So don't be deterred by that, but you make the right choice just in case that lotion N was a little bit too active for her initially. So maybe see how she goes within 2 to 3 weeks and then introduce lotion N.
So did you say before that they contain nanoparticles and liposomes in these serums?
Yes. So lotion N has nanoparticles because that takes in essential fatty acids. Your lotion P and lotion M have the liposomes. With face tonic, it's the only one that doesn't. It has salicylic.
Yep. Lactic.
Lactic. Yep, I knew I got it wrong. I was like, that's not right. Like, how could it be? It's got lactic to help penetration with products and hydration as well.
And do we know what liposomes are in them?
As in,
like you said that N and P have liposomes. So M and P has liposomes.
Yeah.
Is it like because you've got a whole pile of liposomes, or is it just it has liposomes so it attracts water and oil?
Yes.
Or is it?
So that's the spherical body. So the liposomes are the nanoparticles. So the other ingredients that are in there, say take lotion N, it's our natural vegetable oils that are taking in our essential fatty acids. So that's what's in the nanoparticle.
So what you're saying is that whereas most lotions and toners would, so we're talking astringent free here when I talk about lotions and toners, help, you know, the normally humectants, or they help hydrate, they help the penetration of your products.
Yeah.
But with yours, they actually have their own inbuilt delivery system.
Yeah.
Whereas most toners and lotions wouldn't have an inbuilt delivery system. Would that be correct? Or
yes,
not?
I don't want to talk about all tonics and lotions just in case I'm incorrect,
But
because I'm not a cosmetic chemist.
Generally.
But yeah, generally they are there to just sort of sit on the surface of the skin, and then it depends on everything else that you've got in that product range. Some products use, you know, things that almost irritate the barrier to get their way in, and that's why sometimes you'll see an instant, like as soon as they put it on, they'll go red and they'll feel flushed because it's got to find its way in. Whereas we've got a physiological way of getting that in, so you will not get the stinging happening unless you've got a really barrier impaired client, and that's because they need oleo gel.
Because how toners used to be explained to me years ago when I went to a Sodi's training session was if you spill something and you try and pick it up with a dry sponge, it won't pick up. If you try and pick it up with a really wet sponge, it won't pick up. So the sponge needs to be damp. And then it allows the absorption of that fluid in. And so that's how I always got taught what a toner was. In the sense of if you put it on the skin, it allows your moisturiser to penetrate in, it helps it spread easier. All of those kind of things. But you're saying, so it's just really about helping your moisturiser work better and being a more surface kind of orientated product. Whereas you're saying that yours has that delivery system, it goes, it travels in, it's accepted, and it has that bit more oomph to it. Yeah, perfect. And it's able to change like on a cellular level as well. It's just not sitting superficially or anything like that. So you're going in, as I said, lotion N, we're sitting there, we're giving back to the acid mantle. You'll find most clients, when they say they're feeling a little bit dry, even if they're pumping 10 pumps of moisturiser and applying that, it's not going to fix anything because we need it to get in and fix that. And lotion N is what's going to do that. So it still does that, what Sophie's told me about allowing that penetration, but it also goes in deeper because we're not putting them on serums at the start. And they're for a certain condition. So if we're looking at a dry or barrier impaired client, that will go to lotion N. If we've got a dry acne, I will say that as well, because usually when we've got a dry acne, we know what's happening is the cells, because our
trimotryptic enzymes are not able to activate because we don't have oil there on that surface, and we know oil traps in water. All enzymes need water to activate. So our little trimotryptic enzymes are not able to activate on that dry skin. So what's happening is the cells, because the enzyme's not working, they're, what's the word for it? They're sort of falling in, creating a plug, and we could be getting congestion that way. They may look dry and dehydrated because we're getting, oh my gosh, cells sitting on top of one another. Can't think of the exact term right now, sorry, it'll come to me. But do you know when they are hyperkeratized, because the cells are just sitting there, they're not moving, and they really feel like they need to keep scrubbing their skin, but then they're in the vicious cycle. So with that dry acne, although it's going to feel a little bit confronting to that client, they're going to need something like lotion N to replace that oil, to then trap in the water, to then get their trimotryptic enzyme working, for them to be able to exfoliate naturally on their own, and you'll see the congestion will start to go.
We have acne clients, that's pretty much what we specialise in. I had a client the other day who was, had stripped her skin a bit, and she was a little bit dry, but through her nose and chin she had oil. And that she just always had blackheads. She always will have blackheads because she has that oil flow through here to some degree. Putting her on something like that, so she was, like with the dry and a bit barrier impaired throughout, but for her nose it was just oil.
A really sluggish oil.
Putting her on something like N, is that too much? Because she does have that oil, and it's not the oil that's caused from stripping her skin. She just has, that little bit of oil through there.
Okay, how do you know it's not from stripping her skin? Is it because she's been under your care, or?
No, she hadn't been. But like when I did extractions and stuff, that's normally have you ever done extractions? Yeah. Like they can go quite dry and quite flaky as you're doing it. Through her nose, like the blackheads just like fell out. They just slid out of her nose.
Where you're like, I need a high five someone right
now.
And
they were that like she'd actually had a nose job a few months ago. And we weren't going to touch her nose. I was doing her chin, and they were just sliding out. And she only had sensitivity on the tip, so we gave it a go. And I didn't even have to hardly press, and they just slipped out. So that's kind of how I knew that it was just a natural oil flow. She didn't go dry, she didn't have any irritation or anything like that.
Okay, perfect. Sometimes it's hard when you have like a new client and they've come in to you like that, and it's sort of like, is it a little bit of that oil flow through there? Is it barrier impairment? Going through that surgery, it could be a little bit of an impairment, and just depending on what product she was using. But to me, when it is the T-zone, it's usually a big sign of fast transepidermal water loss. And the way that our brain sort of goes, how am I going to compensate for this dry skin, and that I'm losing all this water and losing all this oil, it naturally will send out a poor quality of oil. And what happens with that poor quality of oil, it's got to push out some way. So although we can see those enlarged pores, it may not be necessarily to being like an oily skin. It could just be the fact that she's had that fast transepidermal water loss, that oil's got to come through and it pushes its way through. The thing is, she would definitely be uncomfortable with lotion N, and you're spot on, she's still getting that oil there, whether it's good quality or bad quality. So that's the whole thing. When we say medicated, they sometimes may need two, or you might just need a preference one and just say, use it on this area.
So she could, so I don't think her cheeks were that too impaired, but she could put it here, like put lotion N here, and she could put a P through here, or I could put her on a P and not worry about N, or I could do one or the other, or both.
Yes.
Right, okay. So like a serum, just sewing them.
When you say a poor quality of oil, are you meaning like it's more viscous, so it's clogging up and it's... Okay.
Jason went to training for the last 2 days, and he's got new words.
I'm going to dumb everything down, I say, because I know you're probably in awe of my intelligence, but I will be putting my certificates up in the break room later, guys. So.
Did you go to Leah's course?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so good. I love her. She's such a good trainer,
Beware,
isn't she?
girls.
is.
I've had
I'm
some
pretty-
training.
I'm pretty intelligent right now.
Yeah, I know you live so empowered. I'm always like to people, if you want to give a gift to your therapist and to yourself, then everyone's a Leah, because you come back and you're just on this high and this roll and you just click, everything's, it's easier.
And so one of the concerns I had after the last
Yeah.
training was Beth was saying about lotion M,
Yes.
that you have to work them up to it.
Yep.
But on all the notes that I saw, it's for red, sensitive, dehydrated skin.
Yeah.
So if it's for red and sensitive, why can't you
Yeah,
put them on it straight
Perfect
away?
question. I'll just go back to where
Oh,
we were
sorry.
before, only because I don't want to skip this bit. With that client, because they're expensive, you don't want to give them the 2 large ones unless they've got the money, why not? With the lotion P, you could always give her just the travel size and just say, hey, we're going to use this just for the first, couple of months. It would probably last, those little lotions, even in the travel size, sometimes 2 to 3 months, depending on how much they're spraying. With the lotion P, works better if you just sort of wet down a cotton pad and then a couple of sprays and then use it almost like a degreaser. Just gets in there. That fumaric acid's going to help, if there's any hyperkeratinization, but also it's going to help with lotion P. It's got vitamin B in there, so we're also building the barrier and the phosphatidylcholine to also help get through and also build that barrier so our enzymes will work on their own. You may want to give her lotion N if she's feeling uncomfortable here. If she can't afford it, go with where she needs the tonic most, the majority. Get her to use most of it there, and it's not going to hurt her if she puts a little bit on the cheeks anyway, because remember, we've got phosphatidylcholine in there, we've got vitamin B too. So that's how you can sort of deal with that, and you'll get a lot of those girls with hormonal breakouts. So you may give them the lotion P and say to them, use that as needed, and then the rest of your face, you'll use your lotion N. If you met me 2 years ago, you would have seen I had a beard of breakouts, basically hormonal breakouts, and that's what I did. I lived on that lotion P. Slowly, as my skin started to repair, I would only pull it out, just because I would break out before that time of the month. So that's when I would just pull it back out of my bag and use it, and the rest of the time I'd use my lotion N. So that's where we say medicated, and work out which size you want to give your clients too. If with the lotion N, sometimes that freaks people out. I just say to them, it's multi-purpose lotion. You're using it on your face, but if you're like me and you want to be quick in the morning, as I'm getting ready, I do a couple of sprays on my body. It's like a moisturizer, put a little bit in my dry ends as well. It will last you more than 6 months, so it pays for itself. And then once they try it, most people love it. Now with lotion M and face tonic, okay? If you had a balanced skin walk into your clinic like Beth's skin, beautiful skin, you could easily pop them onto lotion M or face tonic, not a problem. But the most of us, we will walk into the clinic and be barrier impaired, right? So that's where we start with what fixes the barrier first would be lotion N, because we know oil traps in water. And did you get that analogy from Leah yesterday? Yeah. Did you guys hear that from Beth last time she was here about oil trapping in water?
Oh, no.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. So
If you leave a glass of water out in the sun,
yes,
put
perfect.
oil on it.
So that's where lotion N comes in, right? Because they're barrier impaired, they need to have that N first. Now, you'll notice, say you had somebody that was having their micros, their peels and all of that, they will feel like they need a lot of hydration initially. So they're the people where you say you might need to spray 10 sprays of your lotion N until we get that acid mantle back into balance. They'll start to notice within themselves that, week 2, it won't be 10 sprays anymore. It might be 5 sprays. Week 5, week 6, they might be doing just 2 sprays because everything's back into repair. Once they come to you, and I'm using their language, they'll come to you and say, I don't know, my skin's changed. I feel like I'm getting oilier. That's when you know, yes, skin's back into homeostasis. If they're reporting to you they're feeling oily, it's time now to transition to either face tonic or lotion M. The reason we don't put them there first is because they're humectant, so they're drawing water to the skin. If we're drawing water to the skin at a fast rate and there's no oil there to trap it in, it's going to go in, it's going to come out, and you'll all see that there'll be redness, which we don't usually get that if we take the appropriate steps. In some cases, they'll be absolutely fine. In some, they will notice that redness or they'll feel that tingle or the sting. And that's why we say take your appropriate steps before getting them there. Through winter, we naturally just sort of dry out. So you may even put your clients on lotion N through there. As you know, the weather gets better as it is now and they're starting to produce their own lipids, that's when you might hear lotion N feels a little too heavy. Now the difference between face tonic and lotion N, because they're very almost similar when you look at their benefits, they're hydrating, they're refreshing sprays, they're bringing in or drawing in water. Lotion M is better for cuperosis skin. Okay, so if they've got redness or you can see high capillary network there, that's when you would pick M over face tonic. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So can people stay on NNP though?
Yeah.
They can stay on it forever, but they should be on that before they go on to the other ones.
If you have our little dry old boot client, you can't even see a lipid on their skin even at 4 o'clock almost, they will stay on lotion N for absolutely ever. People that, they have a little bit of balanced oil on their own, they'll end up transitioning. I'm going to give you my example because my skin's so crazy at the start, and to how I've gotten it now, I've pretty much used all of the lotions except for M. So as I was saying, really congested when I first started, but through my through here I was very barrier impaired as well, because all I would do, because I was so embarrassed being in my 30s and full of acne, so I would just strip it back because that was the mentality at every salon I've ever worked at. So when I started at Derma, I used my lotion P in those areas, used lotion N everywhere else. It even felt good for me as well to just put the residue of N on the areas I was treating with P. So that sorted itself out. I didn't need to use P as often as the breakouts went away, so I was just mainly on lotion N. But as my skin rebalanced, European, we've got oil through our skin. Now, instead of using N or P, I just use face tonic because I've got my natural oil back. So that's trapping in the water. Now the face tonic, what that does for me is it activates my little trimotryptic enzyme still, so I don't need lotion P. And I've got my own natural oil, so my barrier is all good. If, as I get older, I want a bit more tightening or, a bit more cuperosis, then I would move on to lotion M. But I'll tell you, when I was stripped, I was that person. Not many people use 10 sprays of lotion N, but I was that little psycho. I was putting so much N, and I feel like I need to do it 2-3 times a day. Now, if I put one spray, I'm like, oh, it's just so heavy. And that's where you'll know that's the indication to move your client on. Okay.
So would you say that it can be overused? So if someone really needs it, like you said, and you're doing 10 sprays, that's okay for them?
If it's drawing in and it's sucking in, it's fine kind of thing. But someone now, because even your skins look beautiful, if you were overusing it, you'd probably overfeed the skin. But honestly, we probably didn't even have a barrier. I would honestly micro my skin, throw a peel over the top of it, never treat my clients like this, not neutralise it. A couple of days later, I would do a needling session. I was a psycho because I was so embarrassed with my skin. So I really needed that for that repair, and the oleo gel. But
so when they
got there in the end.
Do they if your barrier's repaired and you're not lipid dry anymore? And you're still using N? Can it cause little breakouts?
Each person's different. It may. And if you see that, if it's overfeeding, then you might just say to them, use this at night time until it's finished, and let's get you onto face tonic during the day.
Jason and I are sharing some products, and we have N because I've got dry skin, and he's
I've got dry skin.
He's not
seen him.
big on
Most
anymore.
dry.
And so his skin's going dry as you get older, as it does. And so we've both been using N, and he got a little bit of a breakout up through here, and I've gotten one, which for me is really rare. But I thought it might have been the tonic because he was probably not as barrier impaired as what I was.
Why is it making you breakout though? If it's for dry acne?
No, I was
I probably
underusing.
knocked myself on a Christmas decoration in the last 2 days and got glitter in me.
If you have somebody that has dry acne and they stay on it, they'll never break out because it's for dry acne. So if you kind of if they did one little bottle and then they had that natural oil and you
Yeah.
cap them on it, it wouldn't be right for them anyway. It's kind of like serums, like it's like put something in vitamin B to fix the barrier and then you'd move them on.
Yeah, the delivery system I was thinking as well. So, you know, in comparison to regular tonics or toners, these have got the delivery system like a serum would.
Yeah.
So you're kind of supercharging the efficiency.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
for me
what I
that was
see
the
it.
big take home from, that's why I kind of went back
Like,
to it and went over it.
Yeah.
Because I think for me that is, I think you picked up on that really well, that's kind of the take home of what this tonic is.
Yeah.
So do girls feel more comfortable with tonics now and why we have them and why they're at the price
I
point
think
they
the
are?
one thing that confused me is was what I asked you about, like, can the people that can't use it, and does that slow down their? Is there something else? Right. I mean,
Yes. So you
I've
would
got
use
here
like
that-
oleo gel if you thought, oh, it's a bit touch and go to put them on anything active, then you just pop them on that oleo gel. Always think about it. You know, if I don't know, probably all the same analogies, but it kind of helps. But if we had a hole in the roof, the first thing we would do is go and get a tarpaulin and then fix everything
And that's
else.
just oleo gel.
Oleo gel, yeah, rather than changing the furniture or anything like that. Because if we change the furniture and it rains, well, we're gonna have to change furniture
What's
again.
different in
Yeah.
oleo gel than the moisturisers? I know the consistency is completely different, but what ingredients are different?
Yeah, so good question. Ingredients really, I'm terrible about knowing all the ingredients. It is a jar of lipids, but no delivery in it. So it'll sit surfacely. You'll get maybe a slow delivery, but you're not going to get the lotion end delivery or penetration where, you know, if we were to do a dye test, well, they have done dye tests. The dye tests have shown it's gotten in as far as spinosum, if not basal layer. So, you know, we won't be doing that with the Oleo Gel Plus. It basically sits there and allows that lock-in effect of your own natural oil, and that will start to repair the bilayers on its own. It's basically like a nourishing little, like a security blanket for the skin. Okay.
So all good
Does that
with
feel
tonics?
good?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So, and I think we're okay with base creams.
Yeah.
I do, actually we'll come back to that if we've got time.
Sometimes it's the names, like just because they're all so similar. But if you just think like classic, normal to oily scale.
And so the
Yeah.
base cream classic for the normal to oily with no imperfections.
Mhm.
So that just has a little bit of DMS in it.
Yes, so that's the lowest amount of DMS because we're already making, anyone that's got oil through their skin, they're already making their lipids. So if we were to put them on high classic or high classic plus, you'd be overfeeding.
And then high classic has the most. And then the
Yeah.
high classic plus has it, but it's got
Yeah.
but it doesn't have as much as the high classic.
They both say up to 60% of the germa membrane structure. The difference with High Classic Plus is it does contain xanthan gum, which can be film forming, but for the hydration, as well as a little bit of shea butter as well.
The other one doesn't have shea butter.
Yes.
The high classic doesn't have shea butter.
I don't believe so. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot more nourishing for those really lipid dry. Most people, you won't go wrong if you're sitting there and you're like, oh God, which moisturiser? You really can't go too wrong if you pick up a High Classic. Even if they're oily and they're not blemished, they will just use a smaller amount if you know, and then you just know the next time we'll go back onto Classic, but you cannot blow up the skin with them. The only reason we're a little bit funny with the High Classic Plus and we say if there's a bit of redness there, the client might not even notice because they're already red. But that xanthan gum being film forming can contribute to redness. So that's where we say tippy toe, if you see they've got redness, you just go to High Classic.
And I think I mentioned to you last week, girls, that I was on High Classic and I noticed that a lot of my redness kind of dulled down. And then I was on High Classic Plus and I noticed it wasn't as dull. But I've now been using it probably for about 2 weeks. Since you girls got your products, I got that. And I've now noticed that my redness is dulled back down a bit. So today I kind of went, you know what, it's okay if someone has some redness and you put them on High Classic Plus, it's not the end of the
They
world.
won't react.
Like the other one probably diffuses it faster.
Yeah.
But this one, my skin just had to get used to having kind of some of the heavier ingredients in it, and then it's rebalanced itself out. And my skin feels as beautiful on that as what it did on the High Classic. So
Sorry, it just came to me. High Classic does have a bit of shea butter,
it
but not
does?
as much as Plus. Yeah, plus it has more. Sorry. It came to me, I was like, of course, I've got to show you that.
And then we've got
Yeah.
Plutioderm.
Yes, okay,
So
beautiful.
this is one that kind of really does interest me because we get a lot of inflamed. My problem was that I had a teenage girl, just finished her 12 exams, and she was pretty congested. She didn't use anything at home. She used to use a cleanser, but it dried her out, so she stopped. So she just wasn't using anything. Pretty congested because of stress. And her mum's coming in today, and I'm going to talk to her about Plutioderm. But at the same time, she still needs some hydration and nourishment. So is Plutioderm twice a day okay, or?
Tell me about her other. Has she taken any products from you yet?
No,
okay.
So her mum said she'll just pay for everything today.
Okay.
So all she was doing was washing with water.
Okay.
She had a Sukin moisturiser.
Yeah.
Just a general one, and she had a light scrub in the shower that she used very occasionally.
Yeah.
And her skin was worse yesterday because she finished her exams on Monday. And so I just went through and kind of cleared everything out. She had a fair bit of stuff there.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something like induced just because of what she's been through for the last few weeks.
Age and all of that. And
I kind of think that she
late
probably still
nights.
does need Plutioderm.
So
Her barrier wasn't
first,
really hit or anything.
No, and that they're the
It was
good
just-
clients when they're
So
like,
it wasn't,
I don't use
it wasn't
much.
impaired, it wasn't cared for, but it wasn't impaired. She hadn't wrecked it.
Yeah. All right. So cleanser. So is she not a true oily or?
No.
Okay, but I'm guessing she might feel a little uncomfortable. That's where you've got to, when we're mixing cleansers,
I was
find
thinking
out
of
how
mixing.
she'd feel. Awesome,
Yeah.
because she'd probably want that bit of a foaming component, but we want to give her some milk as well, because she's not a true oily. So are you thinking like 50-50 or 70-30?
I was thinking something around 50-50.
Yeah, beautiful. And what I say as well, because if the daughter's not here and you're not sure that's going to be the right consistency, you may choose to do this within your clinic, you may not. But what a lot do is say, look, if that still feels a little too milky for you, just use it for this week, pop back in, and for an extra pump it would be $5, and I can change the consistency rather than you throw that in the bin. So you could potentially do that if you've gotten it wrong, but I'll let you guys decide if that's going to be a general rule.
I actually like that, the sound of that for tweaking products if someone's not happy.
Yeah, because that stops people being like, that shit Dermaviduals, I should have stayed on my aspect, because you're like, hey, it's
And then you can always dial it back for the next batch.
That's what it's about, being customised. So I'm okay with that if you girls want to do that. So
cool. So that's a really great plan. I'd say a small bottle for now of lotion P. Great idea with the Plutioderm, but you may just say, look, if the mum's not one to want to spend a lot, and you just want to start with 3, I'd go with that and then say to her, look, if she's not feeling hydrated enough, what you can do is next week come in and I'll give you some high classic or some classic, just depending.
the other thing that I've also ordered in is tiny little ones of high classic.
Yeah.
So they're $22.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
an
was
idea to
always
give her as
something
well.
that you can, if you kind of want to balance something in there as well, that there is a tiny little one that they can have.
Yeah. That's really great, because I used to do that and use almost the Plutioderm, because it mattifies and it will help because of a small amount of salicylic to, break down that congestion. But I felt like I needed a bit more, so I had the high classic for the rest of the area. So if you've got the little ones, maybe just do that for today and say, because it's prescriptive, we just want to see how she goes with this. If she feels that she doesn't need the high classic, great, you've got your products. If she feels she needs it, then let's get the larger size
So
in
for
about 3 weeks.
Someone that's not barrier impaired and has breakouts, Plutioderm is great.
Yeah.
It's not too dry and doesn't have enough.
Need a bit
Because it
extra.
says here that there is a little bit of DMS in it.
Yeah, small amount of DMS in there.
Yeah.
Or parts of the DMS actually, not the full DMS. So I'd say you kind of got to see how she feels. Some people are fine, they've got lots of clients, they're just on Plutioderm, but because it's more like a fluid, some people feel if they've been on things like Sodies in the past or Sukin, she might feel she needs that bit of a barrier on the top, and that's where High Classic will come in.
Quite
for you.
light.
Yes, it is really light. You'll almost not feel like you've got anything on your skin at all.
Okay.
So But if she's not wearing makeup and things like that, she might be fine with that feeling.
Yeah.
If she's putting on makeup, she might feel a little bit dry and needs a bit extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So perfect.
Okay, so for us to take home from that is it's quite light. And if someone is, if we're putting it on them because they do have breakouts.
Yeah.
But we need to, maybe it is just a like lower jaw with a high classic on the top half, or a day and a night cream to separate them.
People even do it as a spot treatment as well, so it's kind of, you've got a couple of uses for it.
To remember that the hydration capacity of it is pretty much not there.
Yeah.
So if you need some hydration in the skin, it's just
Classic or high classic, dependent on that person. Yeah.
Can you do classic if they've got breakouts? Because it said oily with no imperfections.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just a few or a lot?
You can, because what you will do is see how they go with it. The breakouts might, a lot of the time when you just start on the basics, the breakouts will sort itself out, especially with a bit of lotion P. But if you see that it's not really sorting it out, that's when you do your serum.
Right,
and then you'll know next time if if you still need to, you might change over to Derm. But the serum will work well anyway, because you generally, and you guys are probably already using things like that, your vitamin B, lactone concentrate plus, so azelaic acid, zinc's always good as well. And then if it's a hormonal breakout, you might go with phytohormone, or you might use the Derm in the liposome form.
And Derm would be your lightest cream that you have.
In consistency, yeah.